Good morning and welcome back to your weekend unboxing here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to be taking a look at Vietnam 1965 to 1975 from GMT Games. Now, this is a reprint with minor revisions with the assistance of the original game designer of an original 1984 game of the same name. Now, part of the reason that I'm looking at this game is because even at my age, I actually have not delved into a lot of the older style map encounter war games. And it kind of concerns me because, well, not necessarily concerns me, but it hit me in a way that after dealing with some friends online, it makes me appreciate some of the history and some of the evolution for where board gaming has come from that is kind of being lost. And so I wanted to, start getting into some of these older games a little bit. Now, typically you're going to see them based on World War II or the American Civil War, or even older battles in Europe. But that really wasn't my era. Growing up in the 80s, participating in Army ROTC, things like that, Vietnam was a bit more in the forefront for us because we knew people, our fathers were of that age, where maybe they were involved in the war, things like that. And so the other games didn't really interest me, and so I started looking around, seeing what was available. And basically Vietnam 1965 to 1975 kept coming to the top of the list. So after a recent trip to Dice Tower West in Las Vegas, I decided that I wanted to pick one of these games up. Now, at this point, before we start digging into the contents of the box and some of my initial impressions, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few different videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop gaming content, whether it's board games, card games, miniatures, I'd love for you to come along and see what I have to share. I have a lot of different interests, so my videos are sort of all over the place, but I still think they're fun. I still think they're interesting, especially when we're looking at some of these older style games in this case. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look. So first off, like I said, this is a recreation of a game from 1984. Now, as you can see, it's got some great art. The original. It's a very, very good upgrade on the art. I've seen pictures of the original box, which were not bad, but they were clearly a much older, we'll say, style of art. And then here on the back, we get an overview of the different maps that are included, some of the different tokens. So basically, this is all you get. You don't get fancy miniatures. You don't get detailed recreation of special characters. You get a small, approximately half-inch square of cardboard with all the information that you need. So it's a very different style of play as well. And that's one of the things that intrigued me. And then down here in the lower left, you're going to have your player count. So this is a game for 2 players. Recommended age of 14 and up. Now, it says its complexity is a 7 out of 9, and its solitaire suitability is a 2 out of 9. For a lot of these games, I do find it interesting because it seems like they are... Well, that's part of what I was saying about how there's really not an audience, or as much of an audience for these kinds of games, which I think is kind of sad because they were so formative to early board gaming. And so more of the games are being designed for solitaire play just because it's harder to find opponents. So I know I'm going to struggle with that a little bit, but I think I got some options to pull some stuff off. I'll keep you posted on that. But then another thing down here, playtime is anywhere from 2 to 100 hours. So that'll be amazing. Basically, I think that is based on scenario versus campaign play. So if you want to play out the entire campaign, you're going to see the longer time. If you want to do a one-off scenario, you can play it much shorter, obviously. All right, so let's get this nice shiny box lid out of the way. And all right, so one of the first things that we end up with is the first rulebook. Now, I've got a couple of other, like I've done some unboxings. I haven't gotten into playing them yet. But one thing I did find kind of interesting in these kinds of games, typically you're going to have two sets of rules. You're going to have the basic rules. So here we have our rules of play. And then you're going to have a second set of play, or the second set of rules that deals more with your scenarios, special rules for the individual game. So like they'll write one set of rules and then give you basically just a rules addendum for the particular game that you're playing, which I think is kind of interesting. But right on front, we've got our table of contents. So let's start flipping through this. So first off, it's clearly printed in full color, but it's still pretty basic. It's not heavyweight paper. It's a matte finish. Obviously tons of text. So here it shows we're going to get 3 maps, north, center, and south. From my understanding, that is an upgrade from the original game that basically came with 2 maps. A description of the playing pieces, which, let me zoom in on this. All right, so your token, you're going to get your unit designation. Looks like the scale of this is battalion, basically battalion level. So you get your battalion / brigade or regiment. So 1-1, 1st Battalion of the 1st Brigade. And then Division 1C. I'm not sure what that is. I remember some military terms from ROTC, but it's not perfect. It's been a long time. You then have the unit size, the unit type. So unit size says 2, which is down here says it's a battalion. The type is a yellow cross with a little thing in it, which if we come down here says it's air mobile, so that'd be helicopters. The pursuit modifier, the ground combat strength, the artillery strength, and the movement point allowance. So obviously it's going to give you all your details. There's a lot of information packed into a tiny little token. Like I said, these are about a ½ an inch. My understanding with this version, for a lot of the tokens, they've actually increased them to 9/16, so you get a whole extra 1/16 of an inch. I don't know how big of an effect that's going to be, but with the way my eyesight is going, it's probably not a bad thing. Then you've got naval units, leader units, so in this case, South Vietnamese leader. And then the different colors of all of the counters. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so then basically just like any other game, they're laying out, what everything is, how the game works. So we go through our game turn, the operations, which in an operation, the operating player commits certain of his units to a particular goal. Sometimes that goal will be simple as defending or holding. More frequently, the goal of an operation will be the destruction of enemy units. Any given friendly unit can only be assigned to one operation in each turn. I have a feeling this is going to get complicated. So I love the fact that it's full color. Showing off different sections of the map. the terrain. Background on different units. Throw in some extra historical art. Oh, looks like they include the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Sorry if this isn't so clear. I mean, I'm just flipping through a rulebook. And then we have just a complete chart of all of the different tokens that you're going to get. All right, let's take a look at this playbook real quick. So we get an example of play. Then we get into our scenarios. So the scenario is going to tell you what forces you have available. Operation Silver Bayonet. So I believe, like, I've seen other games based just on Silver Bayonet. Operation Starlight. Anyways, lots of different scenarios, different options. A lot of information in here. Easter Offensive, Fall of South Vietnam, After Tet. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool. This is designer notes from the original designer. My understanding, they did have a different design team that technically managed this project, but they still got the original designer involved for clarifying rules, things like that. So it's not quite a 2.0, but it's like original game revised, based on 40 years of play. And then we've got our game credits and some additional art. All right, so now we get to deal with the infamously small game or work area. So I do apologize for that. So we've got our maps. Now these are large. So this is about an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper right here, and it's folded in half, so about 22 inches long, and then 4 sections the other way, so 8.5, 17, it's about 34. So 22 by 34, and you get 3 of these maps. I'm not going to be able to show all of the detail, even though I would absolutely love to. I love the detail that they put into this. So you've got your, obviously, different cities, different plains areas, mountains, forests, highways, water zones, rivers, and actually I will show this. So we do have our demilitarized zone, this outside edge, which we saw flipping through the rule book. That's going to be the Ho Chi Minh Trail down along the outside edge, because then we've got Laos over here on the side. Basically, like, these maps are just as full of information, tracking charts, South Vietnamese population control. So yeah, you're not just doing military maneuvers. You're doing, actually trying to fight the political situation as well. So then you have the different regions. You've got Saigon down here. There is so much. All right. This map also includes free world allies. We've got Korea, Thailand, Australia, Anzac, and the Philippines. Now, the way that I read something in the game where some people will have criticized the change because, allies implies, equal levels of participation, and they're just like, look, it's just a simplified term that we can use. So, if you're concerned about that, the designers did address it. All right, and then we have all of the counters. Now, I believe these are Vietnamese counters. And so these blue ones you can see here. Actually, if it'll, yeah. So here we've got the Viet Cong. So this is actually kind of interesting because these are supposed to be set up for hidden movement. Basically, you can put it up so the allied player knows that there are units there. They just don't know what they are, because then you turn it over, and then that's when you see all of the stats for the unit. Obviously, different. This is tons of information, and it's all kind of blurring at the moment. All right, we've got more tokens. So yellow, I believe, is South Vietnam. Red is North Vietnam. So we've got some captured capital tokens. Again, all of these are double-sided. And they have different information on both sides, too, so that's going to be fun to learn. All right, we have... All right, so this is U.S., which exactly I'm not sure, because my understanding is they do have different colors for Army versus Marines. Okay, yeah, so these darker green is the Marines. Again, double-sided. Free fire tokens, year marker, Navy ships. More South Vietnam. All right, so these are all the larger tokens. Then in these sheets, these are still about half-inch. Ops complete, patrol, air mobilized. Operating. So, again, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is just because of how much there is to learn. It's not just, oh, I want to play a game or I want to glorify one particular aspect. But there is so much history. A lot of these older games, it was to help, like modern wargaming is based off of ancient war games that generals use to try and learn and practice tactics and strategies, things like that. So there's this heritage here that I think deserves to be preserved. So, all right, we've got reference sheets. You get 2 of those. So, ground combat strength plus enemy support versus a die roll. So you do need some 6-sided dice, I believe. It comes with 2. We'll get to those in a minute. Different reference for all of the different terrain effects. So like what I said was the plains is more cultivated fields, so basically farmland. Rules for air mobile units. Basically just, if you're going to have a game like this, you're going to need quick reference charts. All right. This is the morale chart. Nice and simple. A strategic bombing table. Blockade chart. Population control. Oh, there's so much here. All right, the operations flowchart. So, begin operation. Does the National Liberation Front elect to operate? Are the Allies willing to operate? Then again, back to, is the National Liberation Front willing to operate? End of operation phase. If your game's going to have a flowchart, you're in for an interesting time. All right, flowcharts for search and destroy, clear and secure. Security. Bombardment. All right. Sequence of play. Seasonal interface. So, what little I've read on it, the game is played in years. And so then it's broken up into 3-month seasons. And so, seasonal interface. A record sheet for the National Liberation Front, South Vietnam. Now, I haven't decided if I'm going to laminate these or if I'm just going to photocopy them. I'm probably just going to photocopy them. And hopefully, I haven't looked, but I'm guessing the GMT probably even includes PDFs so you can just print them off. Alternate population control sheet. All right, so this is a holding box. Basically, all of those little cardboard tokens so that you can store them. Well, not store, but basically put them out, before they're being deployed. A general record track. Turn track, so each year. Season track, spring, summer, fall, winter. The US record sheet. Holding boxes for the NLF. And then dice. So red and green. Kind of obvious there. And I think this is just an insert to hold everything. So, okay. I have a lot of work ahead of me. First off, I need to get stuff to organize all of the tokens. I need to connect with people who know what they're doing, to be honest with you. But to be honest with you, I'm very, very curious about this game. It's like I said, it's something that I haven't done before, a type of game that I haven't played, and especially for something like Vietnam. There's a lot of contention on both sides, and I think because of that, it kind of gets pushed away so that we don't really talk about it. We've dealt with, modern conflicts for most of my adult life, and we always hear about World War II, but Vietnam, Korea kind of get ignored. And so, especially because a conversation that I had last year, wow, it's been almost a year, but a conversation that I had with a family friend who actually served in Vietnam. I'd known about it. I'd never asked him questions. And he even said that he doesn't like answering questions, but he was very kind, and he answered them for me. And I did my best to be respectful, to ask about his feelings, about his experience. And he was very kind to share a little bit with me. I wish I'd recorded it, or made notes right afterwards. But all I can really say is I'm grateful that I got to have that experience. And hopefully, with this game, I get to understand him and understand the whole conflict a little bit more. So, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing more with this as I move forward. I'm very excited about this game. I'm glad to have it in my collection, and I will keep you posted with what I find out. I've got some, I'm going to call them borderline ridiculous ideas on what I want to do to play this. We'll see if it works. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.